Recognized as the most elite military force the Adeptus Administratum can call upon, the Tempestus Scions are the truest sense of a human elite soldier. Equipped with the best war gear and disciplined by the highest military standards, the Scions are trusted to complete just about any mission High Command orders. This flexibility on the battlefield can be credited to the 5 distinct units that operate within the Militarum Tempestus. Each one of these forces has a different functionality that exemplifies a particular battlefield niche. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about these 5 units within the Tempestus Scions, or that make up the Tempestus Scions. If you guys want a more beginner guide as to what the Militarum Tempestus is and what the Tempestus Scions truly are, I'll put a link up above. It'll take you to one of the very standard old videos for the Tempestus Scions. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day, so consider subscribing. What I try to do in these videos is I create a lore portion in the beginning, a hobby portion, so some tabletop terrain tutorial or something like that in the middle, and then a Q&A at the end. So if you guys have questions about the Tempestus Scions or anything that we're going to discuss today, just comment down in the comment section below and I'll answer it in tomorrow's video. Same thing with suggestions or anything like that. And also, if you like these types of videos, hit the thumbs up button, tell your friends, comment, do all that cool stuff that YouTube asks us to do, or asks you guys to do in order to help the creators. But with all that said, let's get into 40 facts on the 5 units within the Tempestus Scions. The most common unit that has become the face of the Tempestus Scions are the Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers operate in the broader Astra Militarum as an elite special force. They act as shock troopers and commandos, conducting raids behind enemy lines and acting as the spearhead for later offensive assaults. So when the Imperial Guard needs an elite force for a special mission, they call upon the Stormtroopers. And the creation of the Stormtroopers also follows the template of all Tempestus Scions. They are recruited from the orphaned sons of Imperial officials and military officers from all across the galaxy, such as planetary governors or high-ranking members of the Astra Militarum or the Imperial Navy. Raised within the Schola Progenium under the care of the Ecclesiarchy, they live a demanding life of prayer, study, and physical exercise. This punishing training regime hones their minds, bodies, and skills to the very peak of human perfection. These potential Stormtrooper candidates are notable for their outstanding skills in the art of war, but they lack the iron personality and charisma that would earmark them to become Imperial Commissars or Imperial Guard officers, or the affinity for space warfare that would make them Imperial Navy officers. They also don't have any real-world connection to any planet or regiment, and so are mostly fighting for their own personal glory. That's why they are called Glory Boys by the guardsmen that fight alongside them. The Stormtrooper will be sent anywhere they are needed and can be commanded by almost any military high command. And now we move on to the second most common type of Tempestus Scion unit, the Grenadiers. Unlike standard Stormtroopers, Grenadiers are raised from the toughest and most skilled members of an already existing Imperial Guard regiment. This practice is normally found on high martial worlds such as Cadia or Krieg. Grenadiers are also not likely to be orphans. They are selected while they are still in the youth armies of the local planetary defense force or during Imperial Guard basic training. They are then enrolled in special academies where they receive additional training to bring them up to the standard of a Stormtrooper. They are utterly dedicated to the preservation of the Imperium and follow the ethos of duty and honor just like the rest of the Stormtroopers. And while most Stormtroopers are seen as arrogant by the guardsmen that fight alongside them, Grenadier are looked up to and seen as a model to follow and emulate. This is because Grenadiers come from the same world as the rest of the regiment that they operate in. Some worlds create such noteworthy Grenadiers that the Militarum Tempestus recruits Scions exclusively from that planet and spread them out to other regiments all across the galaxy. Examples of this type of Tempestus Scions are the Catachan Devils and the Cadian Kazarkin. These units are trained in more specialized environments that pertain to their planet. In the case of the Catachan Devils, they are seasoned jungle fighters bred to be deadlier in close combat than the standard Stormtrooper. They also are named after the voracious predator that stalks their world and who they try to emulate in combat. The Kazarkin are a dying breed who come from the destroyed planet of Cadia. The years and years of constant warfare on the Fortress planet created this elite fighting force that specializes in city fighting. Their name translates to Citykin in the Cadian dialect of Low Gothic. Both of these units are used by other Imperial Guard regiments, but most importantly are highly respected, unlike the standard troopers. And now we move on to the next unit of Tempestus Scions, the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers. The Inquisition maintains a number of fortresses all throughout the galaxy, both secret and known to the inhabitants of the Imperium. Inquisitorial Stormtroopers are used by the Inquisition to guard these fortresses. And aside from standing vigil over these fortresses, the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers also protect or aid the Sisters of Silence on the Black Ships as they make their purity runs across the Imperium sectors. They are also there to augment any individual Inquisitorial personnel force with reliable and effective soldiers. They are trained and equipped in the same manner as a Militarum Tempestus Stormtrooper, but they lack the rapid insertion and infiltration skills. They usually are not expected to undertake these missions, however. They are also not orphans. They are usually selected from families with a record of unwavering faith in the Emperor and prior duty to the Inquisition. And finally we get to the last unit of Tempestus Scion that's not even really a Scion because it's not ruled over by the Adeptus Administratum, the Kill Squad Trooper. They are used to enforce execution warrants or when extreme prejudice is required. Though not true Tempestus Scions, as they serve a planetary government and not the Imperium directly, the troops that comprise kill squads are often trained to the same elite level as most standard stormtroopers, but that's because the planetary governor is wealthy enough to afford this. On some worlds, where the rule of the planetary governor is a dictatorship or is harsh, kill squad troopers are the hated embodiment of the Lord's tyranny. And now that we know the different units of Tempestus Scions that we would see on the battlefield, let's take a look at some of the Imperium's most notable Scion regiments. One of the Imperium's most unusual regiments of Tempestus Scions is the 9th Yodan Gorgons. This regiment is frequently tasked to campaigns alongside the warriors of the Adeptus Sororitas, specifically the Order of the Glowing Chalice. Both military forces come from the same Schola Progenium facility on Vidil Prime. The Scions and the Sisters of Battle parted after their trials of compliance into different Adepta of the Imperium, but have since been reunited on the battlefield. Though the Scions have faith only in executing their orders and little else, the missions in which they are often engaged are ultimately on behalf of the Ecclesiarchy. Under this unusual sanction from the Ordo Tempestus, the 9th Yodan Gorgons continue to display exemplary skills alongside the Order of the Glowing Chalice. One of the greatest displays of bravery from the 9th on the shrine world of Sanctus Liz. After the simultaneous suicide of a blood cult, packs of coronet demons had breached the warp. Bloodletters swarmed across the planet on a murder spree, destroying the faithful populace and filling the streets with gore. The Battle Sisters of the Order of the Glowing Chalice led the world's defenses, but were overwhelmed when brass-flanked juggernauts began rampaging through the streets, crippling their vehicles. The Scions of the 9th prevented a more complete atrocity by launching rapid strikes against the demon cavalry, and by baiting the lesser demons into courtyards filled with waiting Taurox Primes. This freed the warriors of the Sisters of Battle to purge the rest of the horde, saving the people of Sanctus Liz. The 9th Yodan Gorgons continued to fight alongside the Order of the Glowing Chalice. Many Tempestus Scion regiments developed vendettas against a particular Xeno race. Such was the case for the 33rd Deltic Phoenixes. This regiment was made up of those orphaned by the vicious Dark Eldar strike upon their homeworld of Kaldamor. Though Mindscaping had eliminated the knowledge of this event, the Scions of the 33rd had statistically proven to have a greater kill rate against this particular type of Xenos. The 33rd's greatest hour came upon the twin moons of Arendis. A series of raids led by Archon Vaxmar of the Cabal of the Emerald Talon had crippled dozens of Imperial settlements, and numerous high-ranking officials had been taken back to Kamara to be experimented by the homunculi covens. The 33rd Deltic Phoenixes were scrambled to Arendis, where they awaited the next real space assault. When it finally came, it was upon the most populous of the moons. The Scions stormed to the surface as separate, multi-fast response squads. Their speed, tactics, and technology enabled them to shred through the ranks of the Kabbalite warriors, while their Taurox Primes destroyed raiders and reavers without mercy. Segmentum Command was greatly impressed by the speed and precision of the Scions' attack, and the 33rd Deltic Phoenixes had since been called upon whenever this deadly Xenos has been sighted. But Archon Vaxmar, who survived the conflict, has not forgotten the destruction of half of his Cabal. The embittered Dark Eldar follows the movements of the 33rd Deltic Phoenixes with great interest, and works to arrange a sufficiently painful revenge. To the 33rd, this means nothing. They continue to showboat how easy it is for them to kill the Drukhari. Another highly renowned Tempestus Scion regiment is the 133rd Lambdan Lions. for 2 Terran millennia, the progena who formed the many regiments of the Lambdan Lions have served as auxiliaries to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Their Schola Progenium facility and Militarum Tempestus training facilities are based on the 2 moons that orbit the Forge world of Mizoa. Ancient pacts between the Ordo Tempestus and the Adeptus Mechanicus have assigned the Lambdan Lions to fight missions on behalf of the ruling priesthoods of Mizoa in order to reclaim lost knowledge of Imperial advancements or arcane technologies. In exchange, the Scions benefit from all manner of esoteric augmentations, which are fitted to their vehicles or built into their armor and weaponry, as well as the basic understanding of lingua technis, something rare for the Scions. Though they have little interactions with the Cult Mechanicus itself, for Scions care only for their orders. The 133rd Lambdan Lions missions continually aid the Adeptus Mechanicus in its search for further knowledge, so they indirectly work for the glory of the Omnissiah. Unusually for a Militarum Tempestus regiment, the Lambdan Lions will engage in long expeditionary campaigns across worlds that harbor artifacts, rather than preferring missions that involve swift stealth or brutal strikes before retreating. When the situation demands it, the Lambdan Lions will also fight in the shadows of the Collegia Titanica, or alongside the Scutari legions. Mostly, however, they enact the orders of the Mesozoan ruling priesthood whenever sanctioned by the Ordo Tempestus. The labyrinthian nature of imperial bureaucracy means that the Adeptus Mechanicus occasionally issues the Lions with orders even without waiting for official sanction. And that's the lore to the different types of units found within the Tempestus Scions. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you enjoyed that little refresher lore portion at the end with the different types of Imperial Guard regiments. What I try to do now is try to make longer lore videos, and throwing in that extra bit at the end kind of pushed it past the 10-minute mark, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, I don't have a hobby portion for you guys today. I do have my own Tempestus Scion unit, but it's a unit that I haven't worked on in a really long time. I put it in a box somewhere, or it's in my closet of shame now, and I don't know where it is, and trying to pull it out would just, it probably wouldn't do well. Or like I wouldn't get anywhere with it because I have to find it and then record everything and all that kind of stuff. What I have been working on for the hobby portion is a 4x6 board. It's a trench terrain board. That one's going to take me a while to actually showcase. So, you know, I've been talking about it in other 40 Facts videos, just letting you guys know that I am making progress on it. I'll showcase it sometime soon. What I did want to do is answer some of the questions that you guys left off in the last 40 Facts video, the 40 Facts and lore on the cults found within the Imperium. If you guys have questions for me or would like to see me react to any type of comment, just comment down in the comment section below and we'll get to it in tomorrow's 40 Facts video. So let's get into the comments. This one was left off by Bu Rogers. I really like all the content you produce. More kid bashing channels are always appreciated. I love that kind of content and I never see the YouTube videos about terrain buildings. And I would really love to see that. I'm also a huge fan of lore and will definitely watch your content for that as well. But anything else that you guys make, I would also watch. That's awesome to hear. It's really cool. I want to create more content, but it is difficult to like create things that are away from the lore portion because I know they don't really do well. And recently, funny enough, I've really been getting into terrain, 40K terrain channels. Normally what I do when I build something, like right now what I'm working on, the terrain board, I put on some creepypasta or some, I think it's SCP Foundation lore, and I listen to that while I build, or watch The Hobbit, because The Hobbit is, I really like The Hobbit. But recently I've been watching, there's a YouTuber, a Warhammer 40K terrain YouTuber by the name Knarb Makes, so Knarbmakes, Knarb Makes. He's creating some really awesome tutorials and really awesome terrain. What makes it awesome is the size that he builds in. So one of the big things about getting inspiration from terrain found like on Pinterest, Instagram, or anything like that is that I like terrain pieces that are big, that they fit the scale of 40K, because I'm an orc player. I play 30 boy units or mobs, And a lot of you guys or a lot of the YouTube channels that build terrain usually builds they build a piece of I don't know, ruined temple that can fit a 5-man squad, but it's like who plays a unit of 5 soldiers or 5 space marines or whatever. Like, I want something huge. And specifically, I was looking at one of his videos called Awesome Warhammer 40K Terrain, Build It Yourself. He builds this hive city or under hive type of platform complex thing, and it's absolutely awesome because number one, it's really easy to build. The materials that he uses, they're things that you can get pretty much anywhere, or even if you go to your local hardware store, they're not going to be that expensive. The painting is really awesome. It looks really awesome. He paints it this cool rust blue. But yeah, the size. I really like the size that he builds his terrain pieces. They're meant for 40K, not your small little kill teams and stuff like that so many other terrain YouTubers do. So I appreciate it. Go check them out and let them know One Mind Syndicate sent you. KNARB makes. Knarb makes. And if you're watching, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. It's really inspirational, and it's making me want to create more terrain content. Maybe we can collab in the future or something. That would be fun. But yeah, thanks for the comment. Next question or next comment comes from Scott Chambers. Longer lore is much appreciated, but everything you guys do is great. I like listening to you guys tell me cool lore while I smoke it all in. It's just a good time. That's good. Like I said, I have the same kind of thing where I like to, when I'm doing a certain task, I kind of just like to put my headphones in and listen to some YouTube videos. So yeah, that's awesome that we can do that. Next question comes from, we will do Epic Bacon Krillin. So Khorne gathers strength from a kill, but Slaanesh draws power from the suffering, which means a quick and instant kill would empower Khorne, and a slow, drawn-out kill would favor Slaanesh. Maybe, yeah. But don't you think that an instant kill is closer to perfection, while a kill that draws more blood over time would instead favor the blood god? Sorry if this sounds confusing. Yeah, that's why it's not really black and white when it comes to the emotions that feed the chaos gods, and why there's so much rivalry and chaos within chaos. It just they're both being empowered at the same time for those reasons. There is not one action that only gives off one type of emotion to feed the chaos gods. As long as there is turmoil in the material world, the Immaterium and the Chaos Gods benefit from it. That kind of thing. Next question comes from Thai Mountain Guy. Is the Imperium smart enough to build their hive cities in places that will likely not experience natural disasters? Example being far away from volcanoes, seismic areas. No. And the reason for it actually has to do with time. So the way a hive city was formed is usually in the dark age of technology. So this was when humanity was exploring the galaxy. They were still not considered the Imperium. The colonists would land on a planet, they would establish their colony, and then they would try to basically drain the resources of the planet as much as they can. That's not their intention, it's just the natural process of humans. They would just suck out everything from this planet to the point where seas would go dry, the nutrition of plants would go bare, and they would just become the ash wastes. We talk about it if you look up our 40 facts and lore on hive cities, or 40 facts and lore on I think the horrible realities of living in a hive. It gets to the point where you can't even, it has to be recycled air, because the air that actually exists on the planet is so polluted, and humanity has just drained it all. So what happens to these hive cities is let's go back to colonization time. They colonize in an area that they think is okay with their understanding of the planet, but then they start messing with the planet so much that certain areas that were supposed to be fine end up not being fine. And then through the millennia, these hive cities build upwards, usually to escape some type of environmental change that humanity did that screwed them up. There used to be a series on, it's either Discovery or National Geographic, but it was basically going to like certain cities, certain major cities like Rome, and exploring the city that existed above the modern city. So you would have like, you know, an ancient Roman state created an entire city block. And then on top of that city block, instead of demolishing it and rebuilding, they would just build on top of that. And that's how hive cities were created. So the underhive of a city is essentially where the colonization first took place. And then it's just built on top of that. That's why, like, you have the Adeptus Mechanicus, who sometimes sends exploratory fleets down into the underhive to see if they can find some STCs, or steal it from hive gangers that don't really know how to use it or what it is and stuff like that. So to answer your question, they were not experienced for that, and at the end they just created their own natural disasters. So hive cities aren't as safe of a place as the lore makes it out to be. The next question comes from, let's see. West Themes 117. I still need to buy paints and a mini. I want to get into painting. Yeah, don't stress too much about what paint you use. Like, I get tester paint from Michael's and Hobby Lobby, and that works fine for my miniatures. This next question comes from Cheggers. What would happen if a Perpetual was possessed or sacrificed? Supreme power, like, or sacrificed, yeah. So like, if a Perpetual was possessed, there's a demon inside him, there's still ways to get the demon out without killing the host, especially if the host is really, really powerful, like a Perpetual. The reason that usually doesn't happen is because the Inquisition, the Grey Knights, whoever is fighting this demon host does not care about the host. It's usually just some stupid sorcerer or some stupid acolyte or worshiper that was trying to call in a demon from another place. So yeah, it usually doesn't really care. I don't want to make these portions too long, so, well, Puppy SB says this will be the last question. Is that Ultramarine in the background the $220 Bandai made one? No, this is just like the cheap one. I think it was like 20 bucks. It was actually a gift from somebody for Christmas, and he was just sitting over there. So I was like, oh, I make these videos now. Let's put him over here. Let's see if he stands without the little base. Yes, he stands without the little base. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, if you have more questions for me, or if I didn't get to your question, just comment down in the comment section below. Talk to you guys tomorrow. This is Gershon with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.